Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about strobing, contouring, and draping. These are all three very trendy words, but today I'm going to be explaining what they mean and how to do each of them. That way you can actually see what effect they give on the face. My name is Nichole and this is my channel. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so. You can just click the little red button down below and that says subscribe and you'll be subscribed. Also, there's a little bell, and if you click that bell, you'll be notified anytime that I make a video so you don't miss out on any of the content that I produce. I make 3 videos a week. Be notified every time a new video comes up. Starting with my face, I wanted to make sure that it was very moisturized. I have very dry skin, so after applying the moisturizer, I applied a little bit of bio oil, and I've really been letting that sink into my skin. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these e.l.f. highlighting drops. It gives a really nice glow to the face, which is something that you really want when you're strobing. It's just this really nice champagne glow. Okay, so I'm just going to apply that on the high points of my face, focusing it on my chin, my nose, and my forehead, and just lightly blending that in. And then whatever is left, I'll just lightly brush all over my skin. Because we do want a nice luminous finish to our full face. With strobing, the main idea is using light to pull out the high points of your face. So your nose, your chin, your forehead, your cheekbones, your brow bone, just everywhere that light would naturally hit your face. So now that I've applied that, I'm just going to take a little bit of primer and apply that all over my face as well, just to ensure that everything just sits nicely on my skin. Now, you want a more radiant, dewy, or even just kind of a satiny finish of a foundation. I'm going to go in with the Tarte Hybrid foundation, and this is in the shade Light Sand. This is a satin finish, but with the highlighting drops, it will give it a little bit more of a dewy finish. So what we're going to do is we're just going to apply that with a damp beauty sponge. Now, the damp beauty sponge adds even more of a glow because of the water that it gives. And ideally, you don't want to get it in your hair. So now I'm just going to apply that all over my skin. I'll zoom you in a little bit so that you can see how radiant of a finish this is. So with this radiant of a foundation, it can tend to slide off your face, which I obviously don't want. But I also don't want to set it with powder because that powder will tend to mattify everything, and I really want to have a nice radiant finish. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go in with the Milani Make It Last setting spray. You can use a dewy finish setting spray, but I don't like to do that because I feel like I already have a lot of shine going on, and I don't want it to look greasy or oily, so I'm just going to set it with this. So I'm applying a generous amount and then just pressing that in with the beauty sponge right into the foundation. Now I'm going to take concealer. This really isn't necessarily part of the strobing. If you were to take a concealer a few shades lighter underneath your eyes, it would brighten it more and maybe give you a little bit more of a strobed effect. But right now I'm just trying to make sure that I conceal acne because we obviously don't want that as the focal point. So I'm just applying that underneath my eyes. Then I'm going to go back in with that beauty blender. And I'm going to spray it with some setting spray just to make sure that this concealer doesn't crease. So now, as you can tell, we have a very extremely radiant finish. This is a little bit too radiant for my personal preference towards my cheekbones. So I'm going to take my powder brush and just use the powder that's left over on it to take down those areas where I really don't want to draw attention. So mostly just the perimeter of my face and right across my nose. So I still have a lot of glow going on, but just took it down so my whole face doesn't look very shiny. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a highlighting powder. Now there's a few options. You can go in with a more natural highlight that will give you just a nice sheen to the face, or you can go in with something like this, which is the Jeffree Star highlighter, a lot more dramatic and give a lot more of a strobed effect. Just for the demonstration purposes of what you can really see, I'm going to be going in with this, but again, you could take something much more subtle. I really like when strobing the e.l.f. highlighter in the color Pearl because I feel like that is a more natural, subtle highlight powder, and I'm just going to apply that on the high points of my face. So I'm going to take it on my cheekbones on both sides. Then I'm going to take it on my finger and apply it down the bridge of my nose, on my Cupid's bow. Then I'm going to take a flat brush and just apply that above my eyebrows and right underneath my eyebrows as well. And then I'm just going to take it in the inner corners. And then I'm just going to apply a little bit more of this Jubilee lip gloss, and this is in the shade Coral. And that is all for strobing. It just gives you a very nice, highlighted, very glowy effect. Just strobing is simply just playing with light and applying it on the high points of your face to really bring out those cheekbones, really bring out those prominent features. You want to apply the most highlighter on your favorite features, which would be like your cheekbones, maybe your Cupid's bow, and then kind of keep it a little bit lighter through your nose and your forehead, unless those are really the areas that you want to pull forward. So now let's move on to contouring. So I'm going to take off this makeup. Okay, so now that we are on to contouring, I applied my foundation and then I applied a powder. You can also use a glowy radiant foundation. I still have a little bit of glow going on just from all of the glow products that I applied. You can use a glowing foundation. I just am not, because I want your focus to be on the contour, not on the highlight. Okay, so now for contouring, I'm just going to go in with the Pro Concealer, and this is from LA Girl and it's in the shade Medium Bisque. And I'm going to contour my face. Now, how you contour is different for every face shape. And if you want me to do a video on how to contour for each face shape, put that in the comments below and like this video so that I know that that's something that you would like to see. And I will do a video on that. But right now, I'm just going to contour for my face shape. So the ideal face shape is an oval. I actually like my prominent jaw, but again, I'm just going to show you for demonstration purposes what contouring can do. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to take the harsh point of my jaw line to conceal that so that I have a little bit more of an oval shape. Then I'm going to add some underneath my cheekbones so that I have a little bit more definition. And I'm applying it in an upward motion just to lift the face. And I take some on my nose. Taking it on the sides of my nose will help slim out my nose, make it a little bit more straight, and when taking it all the way up towards this inner portion of my eyes, it gives a elongated nose effect. Then I'm going to take a very small amount on my forehead. I have a squoval face shape, so it's a little bit square and oval at the same time. So really my forehead is quite oval, but I'm just taking a little bit there, not to actually contour, but just to warm up my face so that it's all a little bit more even. That's just a personal preference for me. So now I'm going to take this foundation brush and I'm just going to start by buffing this in. Now because it's on my jawline here, it's just lightly buffing. I'm not really I'm just blending it from my neck to my jawline. And I don't really need to work in an upward or a downward motion. I'm just really blending it all in. And I'll pull it a little bit underneath. If you have a double chin, you can apply some contour there and it'll give you a little bit more of a lifted effect as well. Then I'm going to lightly dab this side and push it up. I'm really only using the very tip of my brush here. I'm going to continue onto my face and let that sit for a second. Just because I like to spread out the product a little bit. I'm also going to take a clip here and just clip back my hair because I keep pulling foundation into my hair. So again, just pushing that up in an upward motion using just a small side of the brush. And then I'm lightly pulling it down and then pulling it into this C shape. Now I'm going to go back through and buff everything in. And I'm doing this contour a little bit heavier than I normally would, just because I really want you to see the effect that it gives on the face. I honestly prefer a little bit more of a natural contour. Then I'm going to do my nose. And one area I forgot to do is under my lip. This just helps push your lip forward and gives the appearance of a bigger lip. Now I think this side got a little bit heavy, so I'm going to go back in with my beauty blender and just lightly buff that into the skin so that I have a nice smooth transition. So lately I've been liking to set my contour with powder. So now that I have that all applied, you can tell it just gives me a little bit more of a sculpted look. I'm going to take this Wet n Wild brush, and this is just a little bit more of an angled, precise brush. And I'm going to be going in with the bronzer to set that. And I'm just using the Butter Bronzer, and I am just focusing it everywhere that I contoured and just helping add some warmth and a little more sculpting definition to my face. I also find that because this is a slightly lighter shade, once again, it just helps everything blend in a little bit nicer, which I really like. I don't want to have any distinct line. I want to warm up my face, add a little bit of sculpting, but I don't want anybody to be like, wow, there's a strong contour. So you can, and you've probably seen a lot of people take powder and bake underneath to get that really sharp line. Personally, I don't like to do that because I like to have everything smoothly blend in. But if you like a really sharp contour, sorry about that. If you like a really sharp contour, you're more than welcome to do that. I just prefer everything to look a little bit more natural. And so I'm just going to take, once again, my beauty blender and just buff everything in. Okay, so that's everything for contouring. As you can see, it has a little bit more of a sculpted chisel look when you look at me face on. It gives a really nice warmth to the face, which is why I love contouring. I think out of everything, I really enjoy contouring the most because I am so fair. I feel like it gives some life to my skin, but still looks realistic because I'm not just applying bronzer or a darker foundation shade to try to conceal my light skin. I'm really just adding some color, some warmth, and it gives a little bit more definition and sculpt into my skin. So I really hope that this helped you, and let's move on to draping. Okay, so I only cleaned off this portion of my face and reapplied some foundation because draping I really only need this area, so I left the contour on the other areas. So draping is actually a little bit different. So with strobing, as we talked about, you use light to define your face. Contouring, you use dark, which creates natural shadows and gives you more of a sculpted look. Draping, you're actually achieving sculpting with color. So it's something really fun. It's also really nice for springtime, and you can choose how dramatic of an effect you have with what blushes you use. So today I'm going to be using two different blushes. I'm going to be using this more mauve-y taupe shade of a blush. It's pretty rosy, and then I'm going to be using this really bright shimmery shade. I think both of these are perfect for springtime and can give you a really nice draped effect for springtime. Okay, so now for the actual technique of draping. Normally you want to apply blush to the balls of your cheeks or on your actual cheekbone. With draping, it's a little bit different. You're going to take your darker shade and you're going to actually apply that right underneath the cheekbone where you would for contouring. So you just pull that down. And I really like to start with a pretty light hand, just because I feel like with blush and color, it can look very dramatic very quickly. So just applying that dark shade on both sides. Now again, you can always go through and add more. So just start off light and then build it up. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to, not only am I sculpting here, but I'm also pulling it up a little bit so that everything blends in again to my hairline and adding a little bit of color and life towards my temples. Okay, so now that I have that darker shade on, I'm going to go through with the lighter one. Now this is actually a cream product. You can use a powder product as well. This is just a shade that I wanted to use with this one, but you're welcome to use the powder. And I'm just going to swipe this on my actual cheekbone and balls of my cheeks. And then I'm just going to go in with a clean blush brush and pull that up. Now this is the Wet n Wild cream brush, and the shade is Peach Bums. This one has a little bit of a shimmer to it, which I like when I'm draping because it gives me a little bit of a highlighted effect. But you're welcome to take just a matte blush as well. So you're just pulling that up, and really that's the only effect to draping. It just gives you some life and color to your skin. The one really nice thing about draping is that if you use both matte shades, it can give a really nice sculpted look to your face. But it works really well with mature skin or anybody that has a lot of pores or acne that they're trying to conceal. Because with strobing, you can really draw attention to those areas. With draping, if you have some matte blushes, it's really going to sculpt your face and bring life to it without adding any texture or enhancing your texture. Okay, so I really hope that you enjoyed this. These are 3 very trendy words, but don't be scared by them. Contouring, strobing, draping, they are all very achievable, and I promise you can do them. So if I can do them, you can do them. They just take a little bit of practice, and you just want to make sure that you have some of the right products. There's a lot of products you can use. These are just a few ideas and ones that worked for me. I really hope that you enjoyed seeing these all side by side. I really wanted to include this in all one video so that you could actually see how they look and what the difference is. Draping is one of the more new ones. It's been something that's been done a lot in the 80s and the 70s, but now it's coming to life now, and during the springtime, it's a perfect look that really adds that nice colorful glow that is perfect for springtime. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to share it, and I will see you next time. Bye.